Every great journey doesn't begin with the answers. It begins with asking the right questions. Let me say that a different way. You don't need to have the whole map, just the courage to ask the next question. Welcome to The Next Right Question, a podcast where we don't just talk about growth, clarity, or success. We talk about the steps, the stumbles, and the questions that get us there. I'm Josh Taylor, and I want to share the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us toward a meaningful life. Let me take you back to a moment that changed everything for me. It was 2017, and I had been working as a pastor for over a decade. It was my calling, helping people, leading them, serving them. I loved what I was doing. I loved the mission, I loved the work, and I loved the purpose, and I still do. But what I loved most was the people. Some of my closest friends were there, walking that road with me every single day. We weren't just coworkers, we were building something together, and it felt like more than just a job. It really felt like home. But life doesn't always let us stick to the plan, does it? One day I looked in the mirror and a question came to me, clear as day. Are you still growing? Is this still the road you're supposed to be on? And that's a tough question. Honestly, it's the kind of question that doesn't come with an easy answer. And I'll be honest, sometimes the hardest part isn't hearing the question, it's admitting the answer. So for the first time in my life, the answer wasn't yes. And that was hard to face. I wrestled with so many emotions. I asked myself, what if this decision hurts my family? What if I fail? Who am I without this role I've held for over a decade? Those weren't easy questions to confront, but I realized that they were the ones I needed to answer. Have you been there? Have you been in that moment when the road you're on starts to feel like quicksand? Where moving forward feels just as impossible as standing still? That's where I was. And I didn't know what was next. I didn't have a plan, but I knew I couldn't ignore the question anymore. So I made a choice. I stepped away from a career I thought was my forever road, and honestly, a career that I loved, not because I had all the answers, but because I had to ask better questions. Questions like, what kind of life do I want to build? How can I use the gifts that I've been given to make an impact in a different way? And what's the next right step? Here's the truth. I've come to believe this. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens when we lean into the unknown, when we let go of the illusion of control and step forward anyway. That's where clarity and transformation begin. Life doesn't give us clarity all at once. It's not one big aha moment. It's a series of small steps. It's asking one question at a time. What do I want? What am I afraid of? Who do I want to become? What's the next right thing to do? And that question, what's the next right thing, became my compass. It opened up for me a whole new life I never thought was possible. Coaching business leaders, helping small businesses find clarity, and getting to be a part of building something that I'm really proud of. And it didn't stop there. The compass also pointed inward to my family, to my priorities, to the questions that matter most. Am I the husband and father I want to be? Am I showing up for the people who matter most? Am I living a life I love with purpose and passion? So here's what I want to ask you. What's a question that you've been avoiding? What's a truth that you've been afraid to admit to yourself? These were not easy questions for me to ask. But here's the thing. Questions like these don't just show you where to go. They really reveal who you are. Life's a lot like driving through the fog at night. You don't need to see the whole stretch of road. You just need to see the next 200 feet. And that's enough to keep going. And if you keep going, the road will reveal itself. So let me tell you what stepping into the unknown made possible for me. It led to opportunities I never would have had. Helping business owners find their voices, coaching leaders to grow, and creating a life that I love, that I continue to wake up every day passionate about. But more importantly, it brought me closer to the people who matter most, spending more time with my family. So here's what I want this podcast to be for you. I want it to be your 200 feet in the fog. I want it to be a place for you to be able to slow down, to think, and to ask the kind of questions that move you forward. So let's make it personal. What's one area of your life that feels unsettled right now? Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your own sense of purpose. Here's the challenge. Ask one question about that area. Not a statement, not a solution, just a question. Something like, what's one small step I can take? Or what's really holding me back? Because here's the reality. Questions are the key to momentum. And momentum is the secret to growth. This is the first episode of The Next Right Question, but it's far from the last. Every Friday, I'll be here with stories, lessons, and conversations to help you find clarity and direction. So here's my question for you. Are you ready to start asking better questions? I would love for you to go to thenextrightquestion.com and sign up for exclusive insights and announcements that I'll have. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening or if you're watching on YouTube. It would be my honor if you and I could walk this road together. So until next time, my friends, stay curious, stay open, and remember, you don't need all the answers. You just need to ask the next right question. I'll see you next Friday.